Hey everyone, welcome back to Painted Studio. I'm still getting the camera on the tripod. Give me just a second. It's a little out of whack and it's gonna fall if I don't fix how it's sitting there. There we go. All right, here we are. Welcome everybody. It is a sunny Saturday here in Brookfield, Illinois. I'm very glad to be here with you. We are today, hey Maddie, nice to see you here. All right, today our topic is glaze, and I will cover all of it, but I had to show you a couple little things. First of all, if you were here yesterday, look how cool my husband's tile came out. He's still not allowed to look at the live, so Chip, if you're watching this, turn it off. But look how great his bears thing now came out. Now, if you look here and here, there is very wide spacing between the A and the G. That's how the computer created it. Having laid this out, if I were to do it again, I would have shifted the position of my letters a little bit just to make it not look like there was a weird gap there. But oh my gosh, I mean, look at it. I got it. This is like elegant and guy-like and sporty and everything he wants all in one. So that's gonna make him super happy along with the apron. So thank you everybody for doing that with me yesterday. Donna, nice to see you, and Sabrina. All right, so we're gonna get right into it now. Glaze. I asked everybody earlier today to post questions, and if you asked a question in the other post and I forget it, please post it again, because we all know I have my brain is like a sieve. I'm a Thomas Dolby song. My brain is like a sieve. It's easier to forget, so I need reminders if I forget stuff. So I was asked question of why do we put on glaze? What kind of glaze do you use for what item? What kind of colorants do you use on it? And what's the difference between glazes? Okay, the simplest answer is glaze is what's applied to create a sheer wash of color, sheer layer of color that floats over the surface, that's transparent or translucent, and adds motion and direction in large surfaces, adds details into crevices in furniture. It has a lot of uses, and it actually, even for something like our Faux Effects Old World finishing paint, also helps to seal it. There are many kinds of glazes. There are good glazes and there are bad glazes. So that I'm going to give you the basic 101 of avoiding a bad glaze. If you're not purchasing a glaze from people who do glazing, as in decorative finishing studios and high-end private retailers, you're likely to get something that's made by Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore or even Liquitex or some of these others, and the open time on those is 12 minutes maximum. Now, if you're doing a big job on a wall, that's a huge problem, because you can't make it from the top of the wall to the baseboards to do a subtle wash without that already being dry. So I carry the more professional, longer open time glazes. I believe that they are more beneficial to all your projects. That gives you more chances to wipe it back. It's not such an oops moment if you need to wipe something off. And that's how I choose what we carry here at the studio, so that I know you're getting the best possible product to create. There are some glazes are exterior rated, some glazes are interior rated. You need to know the difference. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to cover with you the glazes that I carry in this studio. Okay. I'm just reaching out. There's no specific order. This is not an order of preference. This is what is nearest to me right now. Okay, our first product is Faux Effects Aqua Cream. This is a glaze. I love the Led Zeppelin connection. Oh, good, thank you. This is Aqua Cream. As you can see from the jar, it's translucent. It's a little on the gelatinous side. This is interior and exterior rated. So if you're going to do a job like somebody, like I have a lot of customers who purchase stuff to do garage doors. This is the glaze to use on that because it will hold up. It also dries the hardest of any glaze I've ever had. This is almost, and I say almost, do not mistake almost for exactly like. It is almost hard enough as to be a top coat. So when you use this, you know you're getting a hard finish. And oftentimes we recommend something like this also in a bathroom because it does dry so hard, it's a little easier to clean. Okay. Gotta reach things. This one is Faux Effects Faux Cream. Interior rated only, much more liquidy. It's got a lot of slickness to it. This is excellent for glazing walls and glazing furniture. It will go on your walls and move and drift across the walls well. It'll go into your furniture. It can go into the recesses when you wipe it back. It does not sag. This is an excellent, this is probably Faux Effects' #1 selling glaze. However, understand this is interior rated only. Do not use this outside. It will break down. You will not be happy. Now, if you have paint that you want to add to a glaze to make a paint glaze, what you use is Faux Effects Aqua Cream. As you can see, it's whitish, it's very liquidy, great glaze, but it requires paint, as in interior acrylic paint, into it to not only tint it, but it uses the dryers in the paint to help this dry. So do not use this without actually using an interior grade paint. Again, I keep saying interior because this is interior rated only. Do not use it outside, you won't like it. It'll break down. Our next glaze is another one that's fantastic. This is our Artsyville, sorry, I thought it said glass bead gel on the set front. I'm like, wait, that's the wrong jar. This is our Artsyville glazing medium. An excellent glaze. I would put it on par with Faux Cream Clear. These two glazes, interior glazing, fabulous. You will love them. They have great long open time, great workability. You don't get any sagging out of it. You just need to move it. And for those not familiar with what sagging means, it means if you put it on the wall and you've moved it and you've got it exactly the way you want it to look, and you walk away from it, wait for it to dry, it starts sliding down the wall. I've had it happen. It's not pretty. This doesn't do that. All right, our final glaze, and this is one you've probably never seen or heard of if you're not a longtime Faux Effects person. It's RS Glaze. I think RS Glaze is one of the coolest products, and it's incredibly underutilized because not too many people know about it. I've gotten the okay from Faux Effects, and you have to understand, this is what's called a gold label product, so it generally requires training, but I got some okays to make this so that I can train you guys with this and you can purchase it if it's something you like. And you don't have to be in the studio. This is part of the training, so you're seeing this video, it's good because it's glaze. You're gonna understand it once I show it to you. So now that we've covered these different glazes, I'm going to demonstrate what different glazes can do. We're gonna stick with just 2 glazes today because I don't want to make it super confusing as to why I used which glaze all over the place. We're gonna stick with 2. So what we're gonna glaze with the majority of the time today is our Artsyville Glaze Medium, and then I am going to show you what the RS Glaze does. I think it's very cool. I think you're gonna really like it. All right, so I'm gonna swing this down, and the one thing I forgot to bring in right in front of me is my water and a drink of water. So this is I keep one of these sports bottles around the studio all the time just to wet cloths down, pour water into sample cups if I need it. So if you remember a couple weeks back, I did this live where we showed the layering of the Old World finishing paint and the rubbing back through. And this is one I never really rub back through. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of it now so that when I glaze it, it actually looks like there was a reason to glaze it. I think this is Old World finishing paint in mustard and sapphire blue. I'm guessing, because like I said, I threw this to the side. I didn't pay attention to it. Now I can go all the way down to the wood with this if I want to, or I can leave it kind of yellowy, which is I think what I'm going to do, although I'll rub a little more out because I want you to be able to see the transition that this glaze is going to make. And by the way, thank you especially to Desiree. She emailed me, messaged me a bunch of questions that gave me great direction to help you all. And I'm just taking a little sandpaper because I got a lot of brush marks in here and I kind of want to take those out a little bit. Yes, I'm making this more now about finishing this piece, but that's what happens. I can never quite leave it good enough alone. All right, let me just take my rag, wipe it back, because I want to get all the dust off it. All right, so this has been lightly distressed, not a lot of stuff here. What that little white blob is, a little of the old world finishing base tint base under there. It's not a big deal. We're going to set that right there. I'm going to take our Artsyville glazing medium, and I'm going to take a little cup. And for something like this, oftentimes it's a toning layer. Now, if I didn't want to change the color on this, I just top coat it and leave it as it is. But if I want to shift this to look a little more vintage, a little more antique, a little less just white and yellow and blue, that's a very French country right now, I could take some of my glaze and I'm going to tint this with our faux cream color earth brown, which is a brown that has a lot of green in it. So that'll work nicely with both the yellow and the blue. And when you mix your glaze, the first question everybody says, how do you know when you've got it the right color? Well, there's two things. First, you're working on the color, and the second is you're working on the intensity. So I've tinted it, but I need to know whether or not this is going to have enough colorant or if it has too much colorant in it for what I'm trying to do. So instead of looking at it on here, I take it on my finger and I smear it like that. That will give me the translucency that I need to know. I think I want a little darker in there. I want it to be a little more intensely colored. Standard recommendations are no more than 8 ounces of colorant per gallon of glaze. Have I done it more? Yes, I have. Then it becomes more like paint. The dry time slows down. You have, with most of these glazes, anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes of easy work open time, unless you're working on something like this where it just absorbs and sucks in. That shortens your open time. So I've now made a nice dark earth brown glaze, and see, if you look at those two colors now, you can say this one is sheerer than this one. So it's not just about the color, it's about the intensity of it. And the first thing I'm going to do is brush it on. And everybody's going to go, oh my God, you just made your whole thing disappear. Well, I was generous with my glaze for this so that you could see what's going to happen. I just brushed all of that over, and then I'm going to take a piece of our cheesecloth. We carry this. It comes pre-cut, lint-free, which is absolutely what you want for glazing. You do not want to have to deal with lint. It will ruin a whole finish. I found that out the hard way. And then I make a glazing pad so that I don't want to ever have my fingerprints show up in what I'm doing, so I make a nice fluffy pad. And now I can wipe it back. And look at how that glaze completely shifted the tone of the color. We suddenly went from pale country French to rich and old world. That yellow color that was on here before now almost looks like wood. I mean, how beautiful is that? That's really lovely. So I'm very happy. I'll set that aside. And of course, if this is a piece of furniture, if this was trim on a wall, I wouldn't have to worry about it. But as a piece of furniture, this still needs to be top coated because this is still too fragile to take the beating that furniture takes. All right, so the next step I'm going to discuss is how you glaze on a wall. And I got a couple different sample boards. We're going to do basic glazing first. So first I'm going to use the same color I mixed before. I'm going to take a little bit of our Artsyville glazing medium again. Oh, I poured way too much. Way more than I needed. Clean off the edge of the can to the side. Yes, and one wonders why. My fingers are all covered in goo. Because I stick my fingers in everything and never. I know you're all yelling, put the damn gloves on, Maury. That would be too much work for me. I have to leave the gloves off. I just do. Today I'm leaving the gloves off. You need colorants, or can you use a little paint in this glaze? No, this glaze requires colorants. Do not add interior latex paint to it. You could probably use some artist colors. That might work. I don't do that though because I consider it an extremely expensive way to tint things, but if you have some, it'll work. I generally use things like faux cream color. This is a Faux Effects product. It's designed as a colorant, but it also has an acrylic binder in it, so you can use it as a standalone paint for murals and stuff. So it's a multi-use product. That is one of my go-tos. Hey there. All right, folks, I just had some customers walk in, so give me a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Hey y'all, sorry about that. That's what happens. Sometimes I have to take care of business here before I can finish with my live with you all. And I gotta tell you, I'm roasting because I had to have a mask on, as you all do, we all do, and it's hot, but we're keeping our customers safe by keeping that mask on. I'm just a little schwitzy because of it. So I'm cooling off for a second, giving everybody a chance to maybe hop back on. Oh my goodness. I see somebody's back. Thank you for coming back, having the patience to wait for me while I finished with our customers here. It happens. This is how lives go. That's why sometimes we're on a couple times during the day. All right, so we're gonna go right back to where we were at with the glazes. I mixed Faux Effects faux cream color and yellow ochre into our Artsyville glazing medium. And I'm just stirring it up because this happens to be a little bit of an older jar of pigments, texture, colorants, and it's wanting to leave little chunky bits, but oh well, I can survive that. It would have been smarter if I just put a little bit of colorant, or put all the colorant into a little bit of glaze, but sometimes that happens. And so what I'm gonna say, if you look in the edge there, you can see little specks of colorant there. If I had been smarter, and I know this colorant can do it, especially because it's a little older, I would have put a little tiny bit of glaze in here and mixed a whole lot of colorant into it, and that would have helped disperse the colorant better. So this, when we play with this, you might see some not very well mixed colors. We're all just gonna have to suck that one up. All right, so on walls, there's lots of different ways to get a glazed look. I'm gonna cover ragging and stippling and all of that stuff. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just smearing on my glaze. And truly, glaze is rarely meant to be put on directly like this and look pretty. It's supposed to look generally kind of smeary because you're going to be manipulating it. So we're going to cover, let's play with rag rolling first. I know this is an old technique for those who are familiar, but I know for those of you who don't know really what glaze is, this will help you. So back in the day, we did a lot of stuff with rags and cheesecloth, and we take a t-shirt rag like this. And we were very particular about our t-shirt rags. They had to not have seams, they needed to be real cotton, they needed to not have collars on it, because when you buy a box of rags from the paint store, they're often just shredded up t-shirt discards from manufacturers. And we would take this kind of thing and we would roll it. Now, this isn't a great job. You see the rolling pattern, but I didn't do anything to stipple out my glaze. So the next thing I would do, instead of that, is I might come back in using something like this. This is called a neon neon. It's a stippler. And the first thing I could come in and do is then stipple my glaze so that you get rid of all of those brush marks. And that in itself can be a lovely glazed finish. Or then I can come back with my rag now that I've got that stippled out. And I did a lot of this back in the day. So that's how you get that sort of rag rolled look. Or you could go and do it in a different direction. You take your rag in a blob like that, and you just come in and you pounce it. And that gives a very different look. That's why there's ragged walls, rag rolled walls. It all depends. I mean, I have rollers that do some of this stuff too. So I'm going to come back in. We're going to put a little more glaze in here. A lot of times, I know the thing that fascinates people the most is those beautiful old world glazed walls where the colors are drifted. And people are, I don't know how they got that softened like that. Well, I'm going to show you the basics of it. And I'm not going to get into it as refined as some others I know do. This is a basic. Trust me, when I do this on walls, I'm a lot more paying attention to where everything is. So when I glaze a wall personally, or a large surface, I take my glaze, I brush it around, I soften it with the stippler, and then hang on just a sec. I come in with one of these bad boys. Now, all our old world finishers know what this is. Yes, Linda, the good old neon neon. And now that Martin has retired from his own personal studio, Jennifer Ferguson at Artistic Painting Studios is carrying these. I am considering bringing some in if you all are interested. All right, so we're going to take this. This is a Badger hairbrush. These are not easy to come by anymore. You have to look for them. Pierre Finkelstein carries them. Steve Wallace carries some. And if you're lucky, you can find the old-fashioned Badgers like this on eBay. These are true Badger hair bristle brushes. And these are soft. You can almost use them to put on makeup. And when you have these, you care for them very, very carefully because they're expensive. Ones like this can go for $200 or more. Hey, Manetta. So then, now I've got my glaze on, and obviously I have work time because I'm chatting away. And then I'm going to come in with my brush, and I'm going to soften all of this. And notice I'm not doing this, because that gives me bristle marks. I am coming in with the tips and doing S-curves. And this was a fantastic technique that Steve Wallace taught me. And there's my hair. How nice. I've got hair in my glaze. How nice of me. And this is how good the open time is with this product. I can come back in, I can stipple it out if I need to, I can clean it up, I can move it around. There's a lot of dust on my board. There's probably some dust in this brush because it hasn't been used in a while. I'm shedding some bristles here. So when you wash these, you wash them in gentle soap once. If you're using them a lot, hit them with some conditioner too, which is, I think, part of what this needs. Although what's really shedding here is my hair. Darn it, I am shedding hair everywhere. I should have pulled my hair back. I don't wear my hair loose when I did jobs. But I'm literally just barely touching the surface with the tip, making nice S shapes, deleting any methods of application. And this was the S shape thing. This is zigzag movement that I'm doing right now. This was the game-changing information for me. Thank you, Steve Wallace. I had always been pretty good with a badger brush, but when he started saying do the S, do this snaky movement, because then you're not doing this, you're not doing this. It forces you to stay on the tips and get that nice soft glaze. And if you get a scuff in here with your bristles, just take your rag, wipe it off, and come back in and blend a little more. Now, this brush is really dirty. Boy, I really need to. Good thing I used it today, because really I need to go and wash it. It's got some crud on it. This is what happens. Things sit in shelves in a studio and you move things around and other things land in them. But see now, look, you've got that sort of nice soft movement. It's not really pretty. Looks a little blobby to me just because of the way I placed my colors, but if I don't like that, watch. Okay, it's not very pretty what I just did, because it's literally what I told you not to do, but actually all I'm doing is sort of shifting my colors, making a heck of a mess, putting my hair in things again, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the S's, and it'll soften all of those marks up that I just made. This is how tortoise shell finishes are accomplished. This is how all those wonderful old world glazed walls. Of course, back in the day, they did them with oil, and God knows I've done it with oil-based glazes. Lost a few brain cells in there. Okay, I am doing this with literally probably the worst, most beat-up badger brush I own. So if I can get a good finish out of this brush, anybody can. And you can work your glaze quite a while. Let's see. What glaze am I using? Okay, Linda, what glaze am I using? I'm using the Artsyville Glazing Medium. I will tell you right now, I introduced all these glazes in the first half of this. This Artsyville Glazing Medium will hold its own against anything that Faux Effects or Golden makes. It's an excellent product. So I have a little bit of sort of a burly wood thing. Could I offload some with a rag and break it up maybe? Absolutely. This is all just about how I manipulate the glaze. And really, I would pick the two ugliest colors I could find, and if I could make them look reasonable, I was pretty good with that. And we have this really nice, soft, sort of tobacco-stained glaze look that's really very pretty. Yeah, I got some funky stuff on here, but it's really nice. Let me put that aside. Now this will stay wet for hours, okay? This could given, because the open time on this glaze and the Faux Effects glazes are so good and so long, that in really super humid conditions, you could come back in and find that this is still damp the next morning. So if you're working in super humid conditions, definitely put fans in. If you're working in conditions that are dry, and I know all of you Arizona and Northern California and all that stuff, people deal with that all the time. So there is a product from Faux Effects called So Slow. It's a glaze additive that opens the work time for large projects. I've never needed it here in the Midwest. I've never had an issue with that. But I know my friends out in the dry states need that product information, and it will work in the Artsyville Glazing Medium as well as it works in the Faux Effects products, just so you know. Don't add Floetrol to this stuff. Floetrol is not the right product. Use the So Slow. The So Slow will not affect the integrity of the glaze like the Floetrol might. All right, the last one we're gonna work on, and I got a dartboard for this, is we're gonna play with something not a lot of people have seen, and those who have seen it probably haven't seen it for a while. This is RS glaze. Now, RS glaze can be used like any other glaze, but it's a little pricey. You don't want to use it that way. Why? It's a reactive glaze, meaning that first of all, I take some glaze. You can see it's a little thicker, and this is interior rated only. Okay, take some of the glaze. First thing we're going to do is tint it. And just so you understand that tints, even though I have brands that I love, you can use tints. As long as it dissolves in water-based paint, you can use most tints in most products. I am personally not a fan of the universal colorants that you find at the paint store, the ones in the tubes next to the checkout. They never mix well into anything. They are supposed to work in oil and water, and as a result, they never seem to disperse well in either. I put your money into a good pigment. All right, so we're gonna use these products. We have our primary elements pigments, and so we're going to use some of that. And I think just for the fun of it, we're going to go with sunflower, and we're going to make ourselves a metallic glaze. These pigments are metallic. You start out with approximately 1/4 teaspoon per ounce. You can make it more or less intense. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to test my colorant on my pigmentation on here. This may not look like much of anything when it dries because it's on such a dark board and I'm working with a light color, but I know it'll help you all see it when I'm working with it. So obviously the pigment just melted right into that water-based glaze. Do I sell faux effects? Yes, I do. I am a sub-distributor for Sherry Zeman up in Addison, Illinois, so I do carry the faux effects line. I have that privilege. As a matter of fact, hopefully by early next week, I will even have an affiliate link to put on our website and put here on Facebook, so you can order through me directly to faux effects for your products. All right, so I'm just adding, I added a little bit of orange to it just because I wanted to intensify the color. So that doesn't look like much of anything right there. The cool thing is faux effects RS products, and there are some other ones, but we're not going to talk about those today, has something called RS Activator. Let's see if I can turn this around. RS Activator. What is my store's name, Deb? My store is Painted Studio. Our website is paintedstudio.com. If you don't see what you're looking for on our website, because our listings for faux effects right now is very limited, just send us a message. We will bring it down. We will get it all out to you. Whenever I bring in a faux effects product, it ends up on our website, but if it's a special order, no worries, we'll take care of it. Okay, so here's the glaze just mixed up with the pigment in it. Here is our RS Activator. You start doing this with just a few drops to begin with. Let's see if I can see it and I'll show you what it's doing. The activator has this unique property where it curdles the resins in here. And you can see it's already starting to get thicker. And I know everybody said, well, why the hell would I want my glaze to do that? Just wait, it does very cool stuff. So I've mixed a whole bunch into this, and you can see it's getting kind of pasty now. And that doesn't look like it would do anything else interesting. It's gotten very kind of gelatinous. Well, let's swing this back over this way, and I'm going to show you exactly why you want this. This is the coolest thing. And it may take me a few plays with this to get it going. Hang on, I forgot one thing I need. Okay, sorry about that. I almost forgot the one thing we have to do this. So you can see, when you activate the glaze, you put a little activator in, you stir it up, and then you walk away. Because the activator continues to work for a few minutes, so you want to make sure that before you put more in, you've gotten it completely activated at that step you just walked away from. So now I've got this glaze that's kind of weird, kind of spongy looking. And I'm going to smear it on here. It doesn't even look, it looks like I'm smearing mustard. I get it. It looks like I'm smearing mustard. So this is just not very attractive. And what the heck would I do with this? That's where this comes in. You can take your trowel on this and you can start playing with it. And the more activated it gets, the more it pulls like stone. Look at that cool thing that it does. I'll wipe it off, my extra off my trowel, and it just sort of does this weird, funky pulling stuff. I'm a little heavy-handed right there. That's why it's not doing anything. There we go, right in here is the pull. And you can almost get marble-like effects. I did one finish, and I would have shown it if I could find where I put the board, where I did this in silver and gold on a black background. It was killer. But look at that cool effect that you're getting here. It's pulling on itself. It's getting a little stringy. You get a little marbly, and the more you do this, it'll start to set up and you'll get more pulling happening. And even, you can see even on the trowel, it looks kind of stringy. It's very cool when it does this. There we go, now it's going. I had so much on there, I had to get some of it off. And you can see the trowel starts to suck to the surface a little bit, and you get this very cool pulled look. Now, you know, honestly, this is the ugliest color combination right now, but what's gonna happen is that yellow is gonna dry down. Where would you do this? Walls? I'd do this on tabletops. Any place that has enough room for me to really play and manipulate this, because this is fun too, because then it becomes sort of like a vacuum sucking on there, and you just get this killer broken up effect. Now it's a very specific effect, but I think it is so incredibly underutilized, and when this dries, this is going to have this very subtle metallic-y golden yellow over the brown that'll look like almost like a coating on leather. I'm going to put that to the side. I had one more quick thing to share that has nothing to do with glazes and everything to do with our favorite topic here at the studio, foil. One more new thing. I'm bringing a new board out just because we've got one more new thing, because it happened to arrive in the mail today. Look at our new kiwi leopard foil. How cool is this? So I figured I'd just size up a board. I'll probably need to do something with it later on. I'm going to cut a little piece of foil, if I can find something to at least cut through the foil over here, because all my knives got put away in preparing for painting. I can cut with anything. I just cut the foil with a pencil. All right, we're going to flip this down. We're going to move that glaze out of the way before I do something dangerous. And this is our brand new kiwi foil. That's not where I wanted it to be. It's too far down. Well, I can tell the foil adhesive's ready because it just grabbed it up right away. Take that off my arm. And I'm just rubbing this with my hands. And if you can see that my hands are a little sweaty because it is definitely warm in here. And again, I showed these yesterday. I got these little tiny, this is a regular scrub brush. I went into Home Depot, they had little mini ones. How cool is this for furniture? Much smaller. but nice and firm for the scrubbing. Still fits in the hand easily. Okay, I'm just gonna go rub my hand over this because I want to see, make sure I didn't miss any spots. I'm a very hands-on kind of painter, so half the time my determination if I got it all is if my hands feel like I got it. Oh yes. There's my miss spot right there. And that spot, the foil adhesive was still a little too fresh because I pulled all the way back down to the original paint color, which was not black. Okay, so look at how killer that green, kiwi green leopard foil is. Oh, I love that. Look how cool that is. All right, so, whoops, almost dropped the camera. In case you can't see it back there, that's my website, paintedstudio.com. It is Saturday evening. I have a little bit more work to do, and then I am off for the week. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, that new foil is awesome. All right. Oh, thank you, Becky, and thank you, Desiree. I am going on vacation a week from Monday, which means I'm going to be out of the studio for about 10 days. Don't worry, online ordering goes on as normal. My husband is here. He's taking over the shipping and handling part of that right for the next week while I'm out of town, the 10 days that I'm gone. That's not saying, this is not happening tomorrow. I'm still in town for the next week. You'll still see me on lives. But if you need any help with stuff right away, I suggest you reach out to me this week because the week after, I'm going to be on vacation. I'm not going to be easy to get a hold of. I will do my best. Email is going to be the best way to get a hold of me. I can't guarantee I'm going to have good internet to get Facebook, Messenger, or phone calls or text messages. So definitely, we're going away. I'm going away somewhere where nobody's going to find me. I need a little peace and quiet for a couple days. So again, while I will have some internet, I suggest email is the best way to get a hold of me. Don't hesitate to order. The orders will go out. You're just going to be without me for a week. No lives, no me spilling stuff everywhere, no me babbling like this all the time. And I think that finishes up. So now I've got a couple of kits to put together for some customers who are very excited to try making their own tiles like mine. Which tile, you say? For those who missed it earlier, you can see here's my Chicago Bears tile for my husband. So they're going to be trying to make some like this too. I'm here all the next week, so don't hesitate to reach out. But while I'm gone, if I'm not answering your questions, you just got to know I needed a little runaway. All right, everybody, have a great Saturday night. I'm going to go clean up, I'm going to go prep up, and I'm going to go home. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.